Hey gang, this is going to be another video taking a look at Blitz, and we are going to take a look at all of the deployments and the modifications to intercept that compromise Blitz. If you're not familiar with Blitz, it's an unofficial game mode. Maybe game mode is kind of bold. Modified version of Star Wars Legion that's supported in the TTS mod that moves the game onto a 3x3. Battle lines, you know it. There you go. Advanced positions. All the rules for the deployments work the same as they do in the standard game. I didn't want to lose any of that character. A lot of the goal of Blitz is to use the tiniest, lightest touch to make the delta necessary to solve the problems that I think exist in turn zero. So here you have advanced positions. It's gonna be close. It's gonna be spicy. Timing turn one is huge. Right out of the gate, you're gonna be busy doing stuff. Danger close. If you thought the other ones were rough, this is potentially more horrifying. But just like danger close, you have no idea how to deploy into this thing on a 6x3 or here on a 3x3. Where's the other guy gonna go? Who knows? Disarray. This one's very tricky because the deployment zones are so small. Uh, it's hard to fit stuff in here. The deployment zones are all range 3 apart, which is terrifying. Um, you can't give everybody orders. Makes that kind of tricky. Unless you have the tech to do that, and then that makes this kind of cool. Um, so disarray, because of the restricted zones, you're gonna have to split your force up more, just due to the geometry, right? And that's sort of this thought exercise. It's all geometry all the way down. Um, this really revealed how much more compelling limiting the geometry can make things. So this gives you a lot of problems to contend with, but it's going to make for a dynamic, interesting game. It's going to feel more like chaotic, I think, than standard disarray, which really feels like you're playing on half the board and then you have some reinforcement chumps, you know, hoping to not die on the other side of the board, right? Hemmed in. Played a good game of hemmed in KP with this deployment. Is pretty good. It doesn't feel super claustrophobic the way traditional hemmed in does relative to some of the other ones, but it's compelling and it does the job. Especially, terrain layout matters a lot for this one. Long March. This one is a little tricky. I do wonder if this isn't quite enough real estate. That's sort of a general question mark I have. Who's even running double AAT? Somebody is. Do I care if that guy's life is miserable? Maybe not. You've been doing it to the rest of us. I don't know. We'll have to see. We'll have to see what everybody thinks and what the feedback is like, and where this could go. The trick is making this feel different from the other ones while still feeling like it's far away. That's the real trick. And I don't want to invent new rules that's like you got to deploy on the board edge, even though we've seen that in some OP scenario play. Um, it gets weird having to string guys out wide to fit them in cohesion. Major offensive. Pretty straightforward. You could still kind of cram your VAPs along an edge, but you've got 4 zones here, so you're a little bit closer, unlike Long March. Rollout. Those vehicles can almost kiss, can't they? Boy, clone ATRTs with Flamer are gonna be very uncomfortable at turn 1. This is gonna be a bonkers one. It's gonna be very spicy. Last up here we have intercept. Keep this video short. There's not much to say. But the way the intercept card is worded is that you set up 1 point dead center of the battlefield of the 6x3, and then halfway between that and either edge. But really what we want to maintain is the relative geometry of the 3 capture points. So we don't want to set up our side intercept points halfway. We want to put them all the way at the edge so that the space between is still range 3 from this point to this point, right? and then that will then play pretty much like a normal intercept, plus or minus the complexity of the new deployments, though. Um, you've got a normally an intercept you play slightly more than a 3x3, but not much, right? Like sometimes you have an FD or a sniper hanging back here doing this back cap thing, trying not to get killed, and they shoot to just beyond this point, but they never shoot the whole way. So, this sort of barely restricts the play space, and this is one of the revelations that made this whole thing make sense to me about Blitz in general. So this is the recommendation for how you should set up intercept. Again, like we're kind of playing Calvin ball. Do what you want. But I think this is going to do all the things that that game mode is expecting to do. This objective is expecting to do, but do it in the sort of refined, smaller space that gives us all these other gameplay advantages. And for more on that, you could take a look at my video about why Blitz, what the whole point of it is, and all that jazz. There you go.